Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, geeks, nerds, and ambassadors everywhere, and welcome back to the Ambassadorial Wing and a brand new day, but just at the same time. And hope y'all are having a wonderful Thursday afternoon. We are back, we are live, and we are coming in on the final 3 episodes of season 5 of Babylon 5. And with me, as always, you know them, you love them. They have always been here. Council members Fiona Wolf, Zod Rider, and Mountains of Elysium. Unfortunately, Council member Koj is not able to be with us today. He is stuck in med lab working and busting his hump as he often does. But glad to see so many of you here. Brand new faces, old faces, familiar faces all across the board. But glad y'all are here. And my council members, good to see you all as well. It has been a week. I've missed you guys, but here we are. Objects.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here on the flagship show of your channel. This is by far one of the greatest streams that you do, Ambassador. And I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be a part of this console. I love this thing.
I love you guys. So, and to the chat, Bureau31 and the CJH, CJ, Bureau, good to see you both, fellas. Appreciate you stopping in. So, I have done my thing. We do not stand on a lot of ceremony here, so let us jump right in to the discussion. Objects in motion. My friends, where would y'all like to begin?
The Lanier ball is going way out of motion. Oh no, there he goes. Oh no. Oh. That poor man. You knew it was coming.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Lanier goes off on a little bit of a tangent in this episode. Or wait a minute, is it the next episode?
That's the next one, I think. Isn't it? That's
yeah, I think it's the next episode when they're on their way to Membar to the Alliance.
Don't worry, there. Ambassador. You're not the only one that didn't get a chance to rewatch this episode.
I did.
Don't feel bad.
I did. It's been a few days since I did watch it.
But I consider it a two-parter because Mr. Garibaldi gets to be an object in motion too.
Yeah, this is Mr. Garibaldi's farewell to the station. Him and Lise are off to Mars to run Acres Industries. But before that all happens, we get a visit from a familiar face. Number 1. Or what was her name? What's her name? Oh God.
You know, I don't know why, but I thought you were using that was an introduction. You were going to introduce Lord Koj when you said that. I was like, oh.
You made it.
I'm trying to remember what that character's actual civilian name is for the series. Does it
Marjorie.
There we go.
Get it there. Marjorie Monaghan.
Yeah, that's her real life name.
No,
I'm taking it for character name.
That's number 1. Oh, that's right. That's because they mentioned it in the Tessa Halloran.
Yes, Tessa Halloran. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Elysium. The real brains of the operation.
And I think it's awesome that Talon gets to be the new ambassador for the Narn. I'm like, yes!
Fiona, I think that's next week. This is where
I know, but I consider it a two-parter.
This is the episode. This is the episode where Shakar and Lita head out in their little Minbari explorer ship or survey ship.
Yep, but still, it fits. It all fits. These 2 last episodes, because it shows all the old guys moving on, and then the rest of them that need to stay put.
Yeah, unfortunately, they never get to do anything with them, which sucks, except for a little bit.
Would you stay put? Would you stay on the station?
Well, that's what that one.
With all the interesting people leaving, I don't know.
Let me see if I can find that fan comic real quick. I'll link that because she did a virtual season 6 that is pretty dang good.
I'm not saying that necessarily to be mean, but with all the really interesting people, the people that have been there since the series started, well, except for 1 or 2 people, because, well, Claudia Christian want more money, and unfortunately, Michael O'Hare, he had issues. And I'm not saying that to be mean, obviously. But all the interesting people are leaving, are getting ready to leave.
Yes.
And there was not much rejoicing. Boo! But yeah, this episode is very much we have all faced periods like this in our lives where we have transitioned from one job or one place or one phase in our life to another. And it's very interesting to see how these various characters deal with their transitions in the phases of their life. And now this is the episode, unless I am wrong. No, this is the episode
That's next
where
week.
isn't the assassination attempt this week? Isn't this in this episode? Because this is where Garibaldi and Lise leave. And
That's
there
the
was
double assassination. The entrepreneur who tried to make the Jakar statues and the professional assassin. It's a nice contrast that the amateur one blundered into actually succeeding, where the professional who planned it meticulously failed.
Yeah, it is rather interesting because you have the board of Eggers Industries trying to take out Garibaldi and Lise, and you've got a deranged Jakar follower who decided if I can't have it, nobody can. So
It's Jakar supposed to be my personal guru. Gosh darn it.
You just know that guy is a blue check mark. I'm just saying.
Oh my.
Elysium.
I love that.
Are you trying to get me in trouble here?
Oh, sorry.
Not
I
to
thought
do
I
this-
was on mute.
No. It's I say that in because that one Narn just like a little bit out there. I am a person of faith. I am a Christian, and I'm very staunchly religious. But at the same time, I know where to draw the line. I know
Not a
when
fan
to
of
go.
blue check marks. Sorry.
Who is? Because most of them are one or two things. They're either just a little bit on the wacky side, or they're full of crap.
Or
Okay.
both.
Pretty
Well,
much.
okay. They're either they're a little bit out there, or they're full of moldy spoo.
Yes.
Oh yeah. See now that is a spoolful way to liven up the discussion. I must admit, I'm really amazed at your spooktacular vocabulary right now, Mr. Ambassador.
Ha ha ha. And also to the chat, Price is Right reviews and DJ Ronnie. Good to see you, fellas. Appreciate you popping in.
Nice to see more people popping up in these chats. That's always
Yes.
nice.
Well, change of venue, change of time, change of everything. Sometimes that helps.
Oh.
So
I'm looking at some of the notes here, and apparently Lita and Jakar would have made more of an appearance in Crusade for a certain plot point. Like, interesting.
Yeah, I think I listened to an interview with Patricia Tallman, and that's it, isn't it? It's Patricia Tallman. And she said that that was the case, but she was supposed to die quickly in Crusade, and she said she wanted her character to have a more meaningful death, so she refused to appear.
I can't say I blame her.
No,
Nope.
She deserved.
Can't really blame them.
Listen, you're under contract. You want the paycheck. You got to do what they tell you to do.
Yes.
I don't know what to say. A job's a job, Patricia.
But the thing of it is, though, I think they did have like a bit of a magic there where it all coalesced together pretty well,
Yeah,
at least for the original run.
But I mean,
that's some of the stuff.
the thing is,
It's like,
you're
ooh.
not happy. My thing is this. Everybody's worked a job or had a time in their career where they weren't necessarily happy with what they were doing or what they were told they had to do. but you do what you have to do. It's essentially like, it's kind of nice that Patricia was in that position where she was able to say, well, no, I want a more meaningful death for my character or a more meaningful arc. But
Yeah.
when you think about it, life is not like that. So I mean, we're not gonna get to, none of us, I don't think, are really gonna be able to choose the way we die. When it's our time, it's our time. So, it's not like she's, oh, well, I wanted a more meaningful death. Lots of people die essentially meaningless deaths. It's part of life. So yeah, I mean, I kind of, in a way, I kind of disagree with that position, because even though she wanted something more meaningful for her character, I think it would have been meaningful nonetheless just to have her character die on screen.
Well, the thing is, though, I can see where she's coming from, because Babylon 5 built up a lot of these characters to be bigger than life, scenarios. Something that you wouldn't encounter too often. So I could see the flip side of that. That's why I enjoy writing the way I do. It's like, yes, you can take all these characters.
Yeah, well, when you're writing, you can do what you want with your characters. I mean, I've been writing my novel for the better part of a decade, and I'm so sick of writing my novel that I've come up with all kinds of creative ways to kill my characters. So it's sort of a thing where you get, as a writer, you get kind of frustrated, and you say, well, you know what? This character can die by getting stepped on by a giant shoe. It doesn't really matter, because at this point, I'm tired of writing for this character. Yeah,
they died the Monty Python way.
Yeah, nice little reference.
Been working on a few projects, and it's kind of exactly what Zod was saying. It was on. I've heard people talk about Kirk, that his death in Generations is meaningless. But I said because he was larger than life. Yeah, sorry, Ambassador.
No, go ahead, Elysium. You're fine.
I was saying that because his life was larger, pretty much larger than life, the fact he had that meaningless death made him more human and made his achievements reachable for the ordinary person. It brings...
Oh, I agree. 100%.
I said the same for Patricia Talman, for Lita, for any character. Giving them meaningless deaths makes them human and makes all the amazing things they achieve, that makes them human beings who achieve that. Just like Jack, like Mr. Sebastian said, who are the chosen ones, those who are willing to die the meaningless death alone without fanfare or trumpet.
Well, and here's the thing. In this episode, we have a close call for a character that we hadn't seen since season 3, and who has been popping up more regularly in this season and everything, and that's, of course, Lise Eggers, or soon-to-be Lise Eggers Garibaldi whatchamahoosit. And
Lise Eggers Garibaldi.
Yeah, Lise Eggers Hampton Garibaldi, I believe it is.
It's like, oh
okay. That's a lot of crap. But, here's the interesting thing. We're talking about characters' deaths, and especially main characters' deaths. If you think about it, out of the main cast, we see none of the characters actually die on screen, except for Sheridan. And then, of course, you could make the argument that he didn't necessarily die. Maybe Lorian was able to transition him to a being of pure energy, for all we know. Hey, it could happen. And we'll discuss that when we get to Sleeping in Light.
Although, funny enough, we didn't actually see what happened. We just saw they exited the ship, and we saw a bright flash of light, and they said they didn't find the body.
Oh, the derpy romantic in me thinks that Lorian probably kept him in stasis, so that way Dylan can join him at the same time, and they could cross over together. Yes.
That actually makes a lot of sense. In fact, I hope that eventually becomes proven in canon in some way, because that's awesome.
Well,
I'd actually sorry.
Well,
Elysium, quit saying you're sorry. I'm
to jump ahead just slightly, because she wakes up every morning and she sees him sitting next to her for just a brief second, split second. That's where I get my whole idea that Lorian's holding him in place until she can join him.
Okay, rice, beans, or cereal? What are you eating?
I'm also eating minestrone soup. Yay!
Oh, soup. Okay, I was wrong. Okay. I was trying to guess. Is there rice in the soup?
No.
Okay.
Actually, macaroni. Let's see. What else they put in there? Some different types of peas, some carrots, celery. It's delicious.
Do they have minestrone soup on Babylon 5? That's the question.
Probably.
But
Well,
every
they had
culture
the
has.
Swedish meatballs
Yes,
that the
I was about
Narns.
to say.
The Narns called it something else, but it's Swedish meatballs.
Yes, but if you knew Zod, what is it that Jakar said, it would probably drive you mad.
Probably.
Most likely. I agree completely.
But this.
I thought it was cute though that Franklin vouched for number one when he saw her. It's like, I know that lady. I know her quite well. Wee.
Yeah, I saw her naked. And in all sorts of interesting positions.
Well, that's
Yes.
a qualifier. That definitely puts a person in a different perspective. Absolutely.
I love the fact, and Fiona keeps saying it. This is basically these 2 episodes are basically a 2-parter. Okay, fine, we're going to treat it like a 2-parter. Maybe I should just hyphenate the title. I'm just
Hyphenate the title. Go in there and change it. You gotta change
I'll do it
on
later.
YouTube.
I'll
Yes.
do it later.
Can't have
This will be
one side
part-
without the other.
Make the changes in post. That's what you do.
What? You can do it after. Was it like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just
Object
thinking
in
the
motion,
two is
objects at rest part 1, object in motion, object at rest part 2. That'll be next week.
perfect.
Yeah. Awesome.
What was it? That
Yes.
Franklin and number one remind me of Lockley and Sheridan, how they describe their relationship. The two of them are so similar, it's never going to work. But you can see they have great chemistry from what I'm looking at. They know each other, like they just click.
Well, to be fair, when they got together,
very much like Legos.
Yes, but when they got together, they didn't know if it'd be able to last. They didn't know if number one would get killed in any kind of Mars situation. So she was living in the moment, and so was he.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I like that she is terrifying when she threatens the board.
Oh, but yeah, that whole sequence of Garibaldi's like, "Oh, leave the cigars."
I have to admit.
Sorry. You were speaking and I started talking, so I will yield the floor.
Fine. I'll take the floor. And I'll hit you with if you say you're sorry one more time.
I would actually love to see that, like Ambassador picking up the floor and hitting Mountains of Elysium with it.
New update. Mountains, are you half Canadian?
No.
Hey.
There's some bit of Spanish somewhere back, but the rest is English and a bit of English, I think.
Oh my God.
I'll do to you what Jakar wish he could have done to Londo when he found out about the invasion of Narn.
3? Oh wait, no. First season. Never mind.
Well, actually, that was the Narn attacking the Centauri.
Exactly. That's why I said forget it. It's it's irrelevant.
It's okay. Oh, good grief! That's an old joke.
Ragish 3.
Do you want the stick ambassador to hit? No, CJ, I'll take the floor. It'll hurt more than the stick.
Yes.
Could you imagine? How they make those? They make those hot dogs with like cheese in the center, and you take a bite out of the hot dog and it explodes in your face. Imagine something like that on Babylon 5, but with Spoo in the center of the hot dog. That would be like
Oh,
what's really back on Spoo?
No. What's really interesting though is by Garibaldi taking over Eggers Industries, he can be the deniable branch to the Interstellar Alliance and get under the table stuff done, because he'll have his own network built up. You'll see it in the Psychor book trilogy. His own network. He was able to help a lot of telepaths on the side during the telepath civil war. So he's not sitting on his laurels. He comes out swinging
with a big stick.
Yes.
He walks softly, but he carries a big old stick. and he whacks the board with it.
Repeatedly. Because he
Yeah,
dug
and
up
then
all their bad secrets along with number one. Number one did some of the heavy lifting, but Garibaldi knows just how to squeeze.
okay, I'm going to do this. Who does number one work for? Mr. Garibaldi.
Yeah.
Does number one work for?
Pretty much. And with her
Thank you,
experience-
Elysium. Someone gets that joke besides me.
How about a
Thank
courtesy
you.
flush?
Where's the floor?
Oh my.
Oh, never
No, it
mind.
sounds familiar, but I can't quite place it. My brain is filled with too many things.
Like what? What kind of
Anything
things?
else
Like
in
like
California?
blueberries?
Sometimes. And
How
sometimes
about how about pineapples?
those actually go well in a smoothie. Put blueberry and
And
pineapple in.
but I hear they're
Yeah.
rather uncomfortable when they're shoved up a deceased dictator's ass in hell.
Do, 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 do.
Yeah.
If you get that reference, you might get that reference
Just
besides
bring
me.
great outfit.
Thank you, Elysium.
Let's get some spoo in here. We need some spoo. We got to spoo things up.
Sorry, my esoteric information only goes through certain avenues.
Okay, there is a scene.
Oh, yes.
There is a running gag in the movie Little Nicky, starring Adam Sandler and Harvey Keitel as Satan and
Beautiful film, by the way. Yeah.
I couldn't even.
Rodney Dangerfield as Lucifer.
Oh, I
But there is
remember
a
Rodney Dangerfield.
there is a running gag in that movie where Satan shoves a pineapple up Hitler's ass every day that he's in hell, and he's wearing a French maid outfit when he's doing it.
I'm in the retro arcade community, and and there's a thing we do on the weekends called the Laundromat Wars. And one of the things we have running, we have this running gag where when you lose, and we play arcade games online, and when somebody loses the game, we give them pineapples, and we essentially equate pineapples with losing, and exactly like the running gag, it kind of ties in with what you mentioned from Little Nicky, where you basically and that the running joke is, do we use Dole? What brand do you use? And depending on how much you value the person that you beat, you will use a better quality pineapple for anal insertion.
Oh dear Lord. Okay,
Did you
let's
know
try to
this
get.
is where it would go?
Okay, this stream
Del
is
Monte?
going to-
Oh, never mind. And you know what's so funny? I drink pineapple Perrier water on a daily basis, so I'm used to pineapple. I have pineapple coursing through my veins, so it's one of those things.
Oh, Lord.
So when I
Sorry.
lose, it doesn't matter if they use Del Monte or Dole or the real cheap brand. I mean,
Oh, man.
There is no such thing as cheap pineapple. I ought to know. I work in a fresh.
I was just gonna ask you, is there such a thing?
No, all pineapples are expensive, especially now. At least if you want
But
to live in the
is
US.
what's the most expensive brand? Is Dole the most expensive?
Probably, yeah.
I
Dole's
think so.
How did we go from talking about Babylon 5 to talking about pineapples?
Pineapple.
I go off of one. I use
Okay, well,
one
let's put
little
it this way.
joke.
Jakar's a little bit like a pineapple right now because he has to flee the station for a different reason than Lita, so that's why they go off together. She's
Thank
too
you,
much
Fiona.
trouble, and he attracts too much trouble because people want to worship him at his feet. Poor man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Thank you, Fiona, for being the voice of reason right here. Yes. As Jakar says so eloquently, I have to leave because I'm causing too much trouble. You also are leaving, but for a different reason because, well, as she says, you have to leave because everybody wants you. I'm leaving because nobody wants me. And that's actually kind of sad because, Lita Alexander, she's almost like Sisyphus. If y'all are familiar with the Greek myth of Sisyphus.
Can we
Yeah,
talk
just
about
at least
Caligula
the-
Caligula too?
Caligula is Italian, and but Sisyphus was a little Greek
You're like,
dude.
what? No.
Sisyphus was a little Greek dude. Here's a brief Greek mythology lesson for all of you who might care. Sisyphus was a guy who was cursed by the gods to roll a rock up a hill for all of eternity, and just when he gets to the top of the hill, he stumbles or he slips, and the rock rolls back down the hill. Fun fact about that quote: in the four-part episode arc in the X-Men 97 animated series, Apocalypse actually uses that exact reference. He's like, I feel like tortured Sisyphus. How I never seem to win when I should have triumphed eons ago.
I would think syphilis would be torturous too.
Sisyphus, not Sniffus.
Syphilis and
Oh,
snuffleupagus.
Sisyphus.
You know what?
Syphilis and snuffleupagus. Okay.
What
No.
Elysium just put in the private side of the chat.
Yes. Thank
Um,
you. Elysium, thank you.
that whole thing right there, if I remember correctly, he used that in the Lost Tales for the opening, I think.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, okay. And I actually am going to read this because this is a really
We're gonna
good
have to
quote from
we're gonna
Jakar.
have to rewatch the Lost Tales. That's pretty great.
I don't
Well,
have them.
I
Yeah,
do.
but
Part
I
of
could do- I could
part
try
of
to
I
watch
don't
it.
have
We
them. Do you know
we
not
could,
get?
we could stream them. Here,
Yeah,
here,
I
here.
could
I'm
form
gonna
a
put
watch
it in.
party.
I'm gonna put it in the. I'm gonna put it in the. I'm gonna put it
Okay,
in
anyway.
the chat.
All right,
for-
let me-
private
let's
chat for
get-
you guys.
Because
Uh,
this is actually one of the last things that Jakar ever says on screen, except for his little recorded message to Talon.
uh-huh.
I believe when we leave a place, part of it goes with us and part of us remains. Go anywhere in the station when it's quiet and just listen. After a while, you hear the echoes of all our conversations. Every thought and word we've exchanged. Long after we have gone, our voices will linger in these walls, for as long as this place remains. But I will admit that the part of me that is going very much will miss the part of you that is staying. And that's what he
that
says to...
reminds me. Man, Sheridan and Delin, the way they close out this part of the episode, they're just like, we've never really walked from one end to the other. And Sheridan's like, you really want to like do that? And she's like, yes, let's do it. They walked the
Hey.
whole entire station. That's some good
Well,
stuff.
who's going to... Honestly, who's going to mess with them? I mean,
Nope.
it's freaking...
Not
It's
many
freaking
people.
Sheridan and Delin. One's faced death more times than anybody can count, and the other one literally has come back from the dead.
Oh man, it's still nice the way that they do part ways with Garibaldi on very good terms, though. For all the mess ups he did with the infancy of the Interstellar Alliance, like him going Eggers Industries is vital for that kind of character, because Garibaldi's always been tied up by red tape. He knows what the right things to do, but sometimes the way he has to do it requires him to get past the red tape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very true. But, you know, it's, as I said at the start, we've all faced periods in our life where we are in moments of transition. And we are literally objects in motion. But we don't always know where we're going to end up. And even though a lot of these characters know where they're going, they don't know what's going to happen once they reach their destination. Because for Jakar and Lita, they're going out into the great unknown. And I would love to be on their little ship as they go planet hopping and see what they discovered in their wanderings.
I'd probably have to find the link again, but Straczynski did put out a little short story centering around Jakar and Alita and Lita's one of their little adventures together.
Mhm.
After season 5 closed.
Yeah.
But I haven't read it in a while, so I can't quite remember what it was about. But I know it involved just the two of them, which was an interesting dynamic.
Well, let's face it; these are two very capable individuals. She can pretty much flatten anybody she wants just with her mind, and well, even though I think Jakar has kind of evolved um, beyond his warrior phase of his life, I think he could still throw it down if he has to. At least that's my own take on Jakar.
And those who will hit the floor with a
He made a
satisfying
very
thump.
good thump. Yes.
A very satisfying thump.
Thump. I think Jakar is the perfect companion for Alita. She needs someone like him to open her up to finding the better angels of her nature. She's lost that because she's been ripped apart. Sorry, Todd.
No. I was incorrect at this moment because I interrupted you, so I apologize.
I think had Jakar had time with Byron, he could have done a lot of good work and made something helped him. That was a lost cause. He can do something with Lita. I do believe there isn't time when the telepath war kicks off because she really she's behind a lot of the nefarious stuff as we see them. Her and Garibaldi set up the funding for the rebellion against Psychor.
Yeah.
And that was a wonderful thing. Garibaldi getting her to rip the assassin's mind apart.
Oh yeah.
And
yes.
She just told him, like, no, it's against law. And he says, I don't care. She just put up a token resistance just to put it on the record. Yeah, this is wrong. But she didn't care. She was happy to do it. That's a very different Lita from the one before she met Byron, where even to help Garibaldi, she was slow to probe into his mind.
Well, and let's put it this way: you find out later through these short stories, and I'll still try to look for that link because it's out there. But you find out later that Lita could have removed those blocks Bester put on, but she was putting up a show because she wanted to be able to get Garibaldi's cooperation with certain things. So she didn't quite lie to Garibaldi, but she didn't tell him the whole truth either. So it's like, ooh, you know the Lita from the old seasons wouldn't be doing that.
I have a serious question for the console.
Okay.
Do you all believe that Lita and Jakar on their journeys experienced each other sexually?
Oh Lord!
I doubt it.
No, Jakar, when even though he made that joke in season 1, the Jakar of season 5 wouldn't really, I don't think, go that far.
No,
but Lita did inform Jakar, like, yes, I think I figured out what my threshold was, and the look on Jakar's face is like, oh my.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't expecting Lita to be that forward. So.
Oh, I mean, in this situation, Jakar wouldn't be the aggressor at this point because he's become essentially the holy man. But what I'm saying is, who knows? Maybe Lita would be the aggressor in this situation.
Well, again, once I find those links, I'll probably.
Would he be? Would Jakar resist her if she came on to him in that way? They're alone. I don't know. I just was wondering, just because it's sort of, again, it was just a joke early on, but I mean, it makes you wonder because they do end up traveling together. So I'm just.
Well, again, based on what I read from those few shorts, they had a very professional relationship and they had a genuine friendship. Yeah. But I didn't see any hints of him developing any feelings for her or vice versa. I think it's mainly due to the fact that when most of those stories take place, I was looking at the summary there, it's like, it's only a couple of weeks, maybe a month and a half after they left the station when they first come upon the derelict Psychor vessel. So they're still probably reeling from what happened at the station. I think it took Lita a while to even get over Byron, or maybe she never even did.
She may never have, because here's the thing. Maybe part of him imprinted upon her when they made love, and that part of him still is resonating in her mind. And it's because it's interesting. Lita's behavior after that moment, and especially for Byron, both of their attitudes and their personalities changed somewhat. And I don't know if there's any type of precedent for this when telepaths do make love. But if they're a high enough caliber or high enough rank of a telepath, maybe part of their psyche does imprint upon the other person if they do
It's
open up
possible.
themselves.
I mean, Ironheart was able to make Winters a telekinetic, so
Yeah. A little level, but yeah.
and a stable one at that. Because you remember Talia was saying a lot of times if they had a telekinetic capability, the telepath themselves was unstable in most instances.
Yeah.
I wonder, is it similar to the deathbed scans that when part of the, like Bester did a lot of deathbed scans, he was connected with the mind of someone who dies, and he said part of him, maybe the best of them, died with him. Perhaps when Byron was doing his martyr act, Lita was in his mind, because she did say, Byron has given me names, addresses. Perhaps they made that connection. Part of her died with him, part of him remained with her, that it was an actual connection that severed. So you could be right.
That's entirely possible. Yeah. That's entirely possible. This is of course a lot of theory, and this is one time, I am not big on speculation and theory, but in terms of talking about canon within a series, that doesn't bother me. So it is possible that somehow or another Lita's personality got altered by Byron, and maybe vice versa. His personality, Byron's personality, got altered by Lita as well. And to kind of come back around to your questions, do I think that G'Kar and Lita experienced each other sexually? I very much doubt it, for numerous reasons that we've kind of covered here already. Their relationship, even if it was just purely physical, I don't think either one of them would be that casual when it comes to the act of sex. Either one of them. And I think the G'Kar would see that as an issue in terms of him trying to rehabilitate or at least guide Lita, because it would throw a lot of things out of whack in terms of their dynamic. And it's kind of a sad thing to say, but in our society nowadays, we kind of treat sexual relations kind of trivially rather than giving it it's more substantive than just the physical act.
Well, in a lot of ways, some intimacy has been cheapened.
That is true. Yeah.
Indeed.
So I think for Lita and G'Kar to engage in sexual congress, no, I just don't see it.
No.
It would
wreck. Season 3. Yeah.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Sorry. I was thinking early season G'Kar was someone who would have, because he hadn't become, in some ways, like many people, they become adults through fire. G'Kar now is very much that spiritual leader, the monk. He has the strength that Lita needs.
Yes.
And Lita was, I think, I'm just reading back, just remembering, it's either the Lurker's Guide, mentioned that it was just teasing. And G'Kar is still G'Kar. Part of him, that part of him will probably always be there. That the summer of love lasted until the Centauri War.
Yeah,
then
I would agree.
He had to grow up, and he realized that relationships, frivolity, there's more to life than that. And so Lita and him, that was teasing, but it would never have gone beyond that. G'Kar would have said, "Look, no," and probably helped Lita to respect herself. If anything would have happened, I can see Lita initiating it because that poor woman is broken. She's being kicked up and down the station by everyone and everything.
Yeah, and she's been used by entities that are far, beyond us, like the Vorlons. Every
Yeah.
step of the way, she's been used somehow. I'm like, oh boy.
So, but to come back to Garibaldi and his reaction to the assassination attempt and Lisa getting hurt, I cannot say I would not react similarly. And if I had the resources to do what he had done, I would have done it. But I would have gone one step further. I would have still put the money in the account, the secret account. But then I would have hired professionals. And I would have had every member of the board disappear. And then I would have just closed the account and put the money back in my own account. You don't.
Wow, you've really given this crime some thought, huh? Wow.
When it comes to my loved ones, you're damn right.
There you go.
When it comes,
well, for everything that Mr. Garibaldi's been through, and he's finally in a position where he can have everything he really wants, which is basically Lise. Yeah, he's gonna be going to 11.
Yes.
I wouldn't go to 11. I'd go to 100.
Yes.
I would hire the very best professional bounty hunters or assassins that money could buy, and I would say, you go find these mothers, you make them bleed, you make them suffer, and then you make them gone. And here's the advance. You get the rest when I get my scalp.
What is it?
Because I
Ambassador
would most likely tell the assassins I want their scalp.
I'm sure Garibaldi had connections with the Narns. There's a few who would have happily helped him for nothing, just for what Garibaldi had done. Talon definitely would not. Talon is a very honorable character, so that wouldn't have helped. But there's a few of G'Kar's followers would be
more than happy to help out old buddy.
But I think it's just harkening back to the Gathering, what Sinclair did for revenge on G'Kar, I think would be a much more interesting thing. Where he told him that he planted a bug or a device on him that he could activate as revenge, but he hadn't. And he said the surgery is what they would do to themselves to find that. That would be far more entertaining. Torturous. Plus, with the threat hanging over, I wouldn't do a thing. Because it's, for me, as I said, I'm pro-life, womb to tomb. I don't believe in killing if it can be avoided at all.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't go, and for the reason that very often I'd feel the same as you. If someone had hurt my wife, I would want to set the world on fire to get back. And for that very reason, that sort of anger and hurt will only end up hurting someone else, possibly an innocent. And that is why we need protection, where you don't go looking for eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth for revenge. You can threaten, you can do it, but don't take that final step. The threat is enough.
Well, this is where you and me are going to disagree, Elysium, but respectfully. So,
yeah, but like as a friend, you still have to hide the bodies. But there you go.
There you go.
But here's the great thing. Go ahead, Elysium.
No, I was about to say that was a small joke, kind of you can ask a friend to, get revenge, but the true friend will help you hide the bodies.
Exactly.
Yeah, but here's the great thing in Babylon 5. There's 1,000 places inside and outside of that station, you can dump a body and it'll never be found.
There's
You could
probably
even
another
go-
Grey 17 where Azar could chow down.
No, even better.
Hanging out with Robert England.
Oh, yeah.
No, even better. Just chuck the body in the fusion reactor.
Pat Miraz, open a restaurant, What do they have? The
Yes, what kind of cannon do you
Mac-
want
Mac-
today? Oh no.
Make Packies.
McPacky.
I know.
That's awesome.
Instead of the golden arches, the golden tentacles.
yes.
Oh, that would be perfect. And you can have it. You can have it in a special corner in the food court of the Zocalo, and eventually, I mean, you'd make so much money, and you'd make a killing literally on the station. Yes.
Quite literally get killing. Right?
Yeah, quite literally. It'd be amazing.
It's kind of sad, and we will come to this when we get to Sleeping in Light. But it's kind of sad it is honestly kind of sad to see what does happen to B5 in the end. That it does get destroyed.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
Yeah. Well, and the fact that Zach Allen is literally the last one to leave, and by the time he leaves, he's got a limp. I think.
Yeah, I think in the lore it's because
at least Garibaldi got a shot glass.
Well, Zach actually said, "I'm not going to leave here till they turn the lights off," which essentially what happened. He didn't leave until they turned the lights off.
Canon.
And it's literally, it's JMS himself that does the honors. He makes his one and only on-screen appearance in the entire series. And now, 20 some odd years later, he's starting it all over again. God bless him. I say that with all sincerity.
No, I don't think that. I don't think that reboot's going to happen. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it still could. Until I hear definitively that it's not going to happen, I'm going to hold out hope. So, anyway, guys, anything else about objects in motion / objects at rest that we want to discuss?
At least for
We
this
should
part.
mention Garibaldi's marriage.
Yes, yeah, him and Lise, they have a kind of a shotgun bedside wedding.
Yep. I guess he wanted to make sure that he'd officially be, hitched. Because I think part of him was worried if they tried to do anything on Mars that it would be like, uh-oh, here comes another bombing run.
Well, it's funny because Sheridan and Delenn get married off screen, and so did Garibaldi and Lise. I mean, yeah, we see him going to get the priest, but aside from that, we don't see the actual wedding. Okay, DJ, what's your question? Anyways, guys, go ahead.
It'll take 30 seconds for the chat to catch up, so
yeah,
we can pop it in. That
Well,
wedding reminded me of that.
fun.
Sorry. Oh, here we go.
Due to the centrifugal gravity, anybody dumped into the station would fly away from the drum.
That's true. You mentioned it. Although when the bear was shot out of the airlock, it did hit Kiefer's Star Fury.
It did, yeah.
So it may take a bit of time.
Yeah. Pretty much so. That always confused me. There are many things about or away from the center spin. Well, you think about it, the interior of Babylon 5 is much like the inside of a front-loading washing machine.
Yeah, actually, yes. And it's funny? It actually kind of looks like a washing machine. The way it spins and the way you see it really, that would actually be an interesting design for a washing machine, for one of those portable ones.
For it to look like Babylon 5.
Yeah.
Introducing from GE, The beef, the B5 washer.
And it'll
It's,
sell out. It'll sell out all over the place. They should do
It-
that. That would be amazing.
The stains will not always be here.
Oh,
Oh Lord. Okay. Let's see, Beer 31. What do you guys say, bud? Yeah, due to the first law episode, to the very law this episode is named after. Yep. Objects in motion will stay in motion.
Objects
Objects
at
at rest will remain at rest. So, all right. Well, guys, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap up here, unless there is something else y'all want to touch upon.
Some of
We
those
have not-
objects will have unfortunate resting points. Yes.
Yes, in the pack.
That is true.
I'm gonna have a spoo dog.
The only way you can have a spoo dog is if you travel like several thousand years into the future, like 2060 years into the future, to have a spoo dog Zod, because they don't.
You know what
exist
would
yet.
be funny to me if you went to sleep one night and you woke up the next day as a spoo farmer. What would you do, Ambassador?
Like Captain Picard, the inner light. You know?
yeah, exactly. Living a different life, and you're basically on a spoo farm. Could you imagine?
Yes.
Um,
On a spoon
I
drive,
would
you're
have-
herding them across the plains.
I would find the
Oh, my
nearest cliff and jump.
You've been isekai to the wrong kind of universe. Oh no.
Nope, I am not a farmer.
You would not
No,
want
thank
to
you.
live. You would not want to live in the B5 universe.
As a spoo farmer?
Yeah.
No. Hell no.
No.
Hell no. As the owner or proprietor of maybe a Centauri brothel? Okay, yeah, maybe. But as a spoo farmer? No. Hell no.
And again, the restaurant you suggested, the Golden Arches, the Golden Tentacles.
No. Just no. Oh, good grief. We're gonna end this thing before it gets any weirder. All right. Too late. Well, guys and gals, friends, Romans, and countrymen, and ambassadors everywhere, thank you all for being here today. And of course, for those of you who catch us on the replay, if you enjoyed this stream, hit that like button, share this out with all your B5 fanatics, just like us. And if we miss anything in the make sure to leave a comment down in the comment section.
Yes.
Um,
And if you're new
we will, of course,
and
be-
you like this, you're obviously crazy, so join us and make this up to 500. There's 491 subscribers. Let's get it to 500.
I'll get there when I reach 50 if I'm lucky. What can I say? I have ethics, I have morals, I have standards. I will not work with certain people who I find to be disingenuous, dishonest, or just plain scummy. Or just have perpetually bad takes.
Hmm.
I like the people I associate with to have a rational, logical brain.
I do
So-
have Florida woman takes though. Yay.
That's okay. That's okay. Because Florida is a kick-ass state. So,
But I also do have 10% wrath takes. Yep. It happens.
yeah.
Interesting.
She does.
Y'all.
So, anyways, folks, we will be back next week.
I'm gonna get my mixed spoo burger now.
Oh, good grief. Anyway,
So McDonald's, they got that
Da, da,
plant
da,
based.
da, da,
They got that
McFlurry.
plant based burger now. And why not have a mixed spoo burger? I'm just saying.
No.
that would have been a great tie-in for Babylon 5. They could have made it out of tofu and pork.
no. Anyway, as I was saying, we will be back next week on this next Thursday, same time.
You eat McRibs, don't you?
No.
Same as spoo burgers.
Nope.
Oh.
I do not eat McRibs. I have not had McRibs since
1980,
2013.
1989.
No,
Okay.
2013. So I do want to let you all know I will be live this Saturday night at 8:30 Central. I'll be giving you all my thoughts on the last two episodes of Kenobi And I will just say this right now.
Ooh.
They were banger. They were banger. We will be doing a full wrap up of the entire series and everything, but we will also be discussing episodes 5 and 6.
You need to watch the Orville.
I have seasons 1 and 2 on DVD. I need to make the time.
It is actually genuinely fun. It's the one rare past 2010 show series I actually enjoy. Oh my goodness! Wow!
I mean, this current season of the Orville is shaping up to be absolutely wonderful. Like,
That's what I've heard.
Oh, it's
I have heard from many Orville fans that this season has been absolutely banger, and I'm glad to hear that. So I do want to let y'all know,
like the Twilight Zone or something. Yeah.
I do also want to let you all know that I will be uploading a very special video this weekend and everything in remembrance of Father Ambassador's birthday. He would have been 77 on the 25th. Be a very special retro review for a movie that I know he would have most definitely loved, and I am most certainly, absolutely am a fan of. So be on the lookout for that. And going to be continuing my X-Men film review series here in a week or so with the Wolverine. And they will be going into, of course, one of my all-time favorites of the X-Men franchise, and that is, of course, Days of Future Past. Matt Ambassador will be joining me for that review. And got a whole lot of stuff lined up for y'all here on the A-Wing, the Ambassadorial Wing. So be sure and keep your eyes on my socials, Twitter, Instagram, occasionally on Facebook when I have the time. So, but anyways, folks, y'all have a great week. We'll see y'all next time. And until next time, this is the Council of One saying 3, 2, 1. Zooty!
Zooty!
Zoot! Zoot! Zoot!
Zoot!
Zooty!
Zooty! Yay!